Good morning everyone. Today we are going to discuss about pituitary gland. In the endocrine system 1, we discussed about the thyroid, parathyroid and adrenal gland. Today we are going to see the pituitary gland, which is very important from examination point of view. We will be studying introduction to the pituitary gland, origin location of the pituitary gland, anatomy and histology of the pituitary gland, structure of the pituitary gland, parts of the pituitary gland, hormones secreted from pituitary gland, and diseases found in the pituitary gland, and finally the functions of the pituitary gland. Coming to the introduction of the pituitary gland, invertebrates, anatomy of the pituitary gland, our hypophysis is cerebri. It is an endocrine gland about the size of a pea and weighing about 0.5 grams. We can make out here the pituitary gland. It is about the size of a pea. It is a protrusion of the bottom of the hypothalamus. Make out the hypothalamus here at the base of the brain and rest in a small bony cavity which is called sella turcica. So this pituitary gland, it lies in a bony cavity which is known as sella turcica, covered by a dural fold which is known as diaphragma sellae. The pituitary fossa in which the pituitary gland sits, it is situated in the sphenoid bone in the middle cranial fossa at the base of the brain. So if you look at the interior of the cranial cavity, we have a middle cranial fossa. So center of the middle cranial fossa contains this pituitary fossa which has this pituitary gland. The pituitary gland secretes hormones regulating homeostasis, including the tropic hormones that stimulate other endocrine glands. It is functionally connected to the hypothalamus by a median eminence via a small tube called pituitary stalk. So with the help of pituitary stalk, the pituitary gland is connected to the hypothalamus. It is considered to be the master gland. Now it is a misnomer because all its the hormonal secretions are under control of the hypothalamus. So master gland is a misnomer. Now the pituitary pea-sized gland at the base of the brain, as we have discussed in the previous slide, it produces number of hormones, each of which affect the specific part of the body. So each hormone affects a target organ or a tissue. Because the pituitary controls the function of most of the other endocrine glands, is often referred as master gland. So what are the hormones secreted by pituitary gland? We have adrenocorticotropic hormone, target organ is adrenal glands, antidiuretic hormone, kidney, beta-melanocyte, stimulating hormone, skin, endorphins, brain and immune systems, enkephalins, brain, FSH, follicular stimulating hormone, ovaries and testes, growth hormone, muscles and bones, luteinizing hormone, ovaries or testes, oxytocin, uterus and mammary gland, prolactin acts on mammary glands, thyroid stimulating hormone acts on the thyroid gland. So these are the hormones and these are the target organs or the tissues where these hormones they show their actions. Coming to the anatomy and physiology of the pituitary gland weighs about 0.5 to 1 grams. As we have discussed in the previous slide, it is divided into anterior and posterior lobes. It has two lobes, anterior and posterior lobes. The pituitary gland sits in sella turcica immediately behind the sphenoid bone. Cavernous sinus are located laterally on each side of the sella. That means on each side of the sella turcica, where we have parotid gland, is the location of cavernous sinus, inclusive of all internal carotid artery, cranial nerves, third, fourth, then branches from the trigeminal nerve, V1 ophthalmic, V2 maxillary, and fourth, sixth cranial nerve, which is the abducens nerve. In magnetic resonance imaging, the best method for isolation of hypothalamic pituitary anatomy, because the optic chiasm, vascular structures and tumor extensions of the cavernous sinus can be well visualized compared with other imaging techniques. So all these images can be best visualized with MRI. Anterior pituitary hormones are regulated by hypothalamic releasing and inhibitory hormones and negative feedback action of the target glandular hormones at the pituitary and hypothalamic levels. Among the pituitary hormones, only the secretion of prolactin is increased in the absence of hypothalamic influence because it is mainly under tonic suppression by dopamine, the main prolactin inhibitory factor. All the pituitary hormones are secreted in a pulsatile fashion and tend to follow the diurnal pattern. So, relationship among hypothalamic, pituitary and feedback hormones on target glands. Target gland, it has been given thyroid, gonads again, many organs, breast, adrenal, hypothalamic regulatory hormone TRH, thyroid regulatory hormone, releasing hormone we say, pituitary hormone is TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone, feedback hormone is T4 and T3, thyroxine and triiodothyronine. Gonad we have LH, RH luteinizing hormone, releasing hormone. Pituitary hormone is luteinizing hormone. Feedback hormone is E2. E2 is estradiol, and the T is testosterone. Gonad LHRH, pituitary hormone is follicular stimulating hormone, inhibin. E2 again estradiol, and T and be testosterone. Many organs, GHRH, growth hormone releasing hormone, and somatostatin, we say this is SMS. Pituitary hormone is growth hormone. Then feedback hormone is IGF, that is interleukin growth factor 1. Breast, we have PIF, prolactin releasing hormone, in prolactin inhibitory factor, and hormone is prolactin. Feedback hormone is on adrenal. Hypothalamic regulatory hormone is CRH, that is corticotropin releasing hormone, and ADH, adrenocorticotropic hormone, and pituitary hormone is ACTH, adrenocorticotropic hormone, and feedback hormone we get is cortisol. So these are the relationship among hypothalamic, pituitary and feedback hormones on target glands. Origin and location of the pituitary gland. The pituitary gland is also called hypophysis and the smallest endocrine gland. Hypophysis, meaning undergrowth, is named because of its location, the brain, below the brain. It is located below the brain as undergrowth. This is an unpaid small ovoid gland and is no longer than the end of little finger. It is located at the base of the brain and lies below the diencephalon in suppression of the basis sphenoid bone of the skull called sella turcica. This already we have discussed. It is a complex structure formed by ectodermic growth of mouth cavity and down growth of infundibulum. Coming to the structure of the pituitary gland, structurally pituitary gland is divided into larger frontal region which is known as adenohypophysis and the smaller posterior region which is known as neurohypophysis. The gland is connected to a region of the brain called hypothalamus by pituitary stalk, which is known as the stalk of the pituitary. Directly above the pituitary gland and in front of the pituitary stalk, crossing fibers of the optic nerves called optic chiasm. On each side of the pituitary gland is the location of cavernous sinus that we have discussed already, through which cavernous sinus runs a carotid artery that carries blood to the brain and important nerves that control the eye movement. Because of the close proximity of the pituitary gland to major intracranial nerves and blood vessels as well as vital hormonal control, the pituitary gland provides disorders of the pituitary can cause wide spectrum of symptoms, both hormonal and neurological. So in this table we can make out the parts of the pituitary gland divided into three parts: anterior pituitary, pars intermedia, and posterior pituitary adenohypophysis. So we can see here, this is anterior lobe or the anterior pituitary, which is known as adenohypophysis. Then we have pars intermedia. The third one is pars posterior, also known as the posterior lobe or the neurohypophysis. So anterior pituitary or the adenohypophysis is the major organ of the endocrine system, also called the adenohypophysis, is the glandular anterior lobe of the pituitary gland. The anterior pituitary regulates several physiological processes including stress, growth and reproduction. That is the function of anterior pituitary. It regulates stress, growth and reproduction. Its regulatory functions are achieved through secretions of variable peptide hormones that act on target organs including adrenal gland, liver, bone, thyroid gland and the gonad. So hormones releasing from the anterior pituitary, they act on these organs. The anterior pituitary itself is regulated by hypothalamus by a negative feedback from these target organs. So anterior pituitary itself it is regulated by a negative feedback from these target organs. Disorders of anterior pituitary are generally classified by the presence of over or under production of pituitary hormones. So any hormone from the anterior pituitary, if it is released excessively, then there is a problem. Or if there is any underproduction of the anterior pituitary hormone, then there is a problem. For example, prolactinoma is a pituitary adenoma that overproduces prolactin. In Sheehan syndrome of the postpartum hypopituitarism, the anterior pituitary uniformly malfunctions and underproduces all hormones. So this is the condition, Sheehan's syndrome. Proper function of the anterior pituitary of the organs it regulates can often be ascertained via blood test and that measures hormonal level. So any discrepancy in the pituitary hormones, so we can go for blood test to check the levels of the hormone secreted from the anterior pituitary. The anterior pituitary is composed of multiple parts. Pars distalis, the distal part comprises of, we can make out here pars distalis. Majority of the anterior pituitary is where bulk of the pituitary hormone production occurs, that is pars distalis. Occasionally pars distalis is incorrectly used as a synonym for the anterior pituitary. Pars tuberalis or tubular part forms sheath extending from the pars distalis. So this is pars tuberalis. So it forms a sheath extending from the pars distalis and wrapping around the pituitary sac. Its function is properly understood. Pars intermedia, the pars intermedia sits between the pars distalis and posterior pituitary, and it is often very small in humans. Pars intermedia is the boundary between anterior and posterior lobes of the pituitary. Contains three types of cells: basophils, chromophores, and colloid filled cysts. The cysts are reminded of Rathke's pouch developmentally. In human fetal life, these area produces melanocyte stimulating hormone or MSH that causes release of melanin pigment in skin melanocytes, which are known as the pigment cells. However, the pars intermedia is normally either very small or entirely absent in adulthood. In adults, in lower vertebrates like fish and amphibians, MSH from the pars intermedia is responsible for darkening of the skin, often in response to changes in background color. This color changes is due to MSH stimulating the dispersion of melanin pigment in dermal melanophore cells. Major hormone secreted is melanocyte stimulating hormone. The posterior pituitary or the neurohypophysis, it comprises of the posterior lobe of the pituitary gland. Despite its name, posterior pituitary gland is not a gland per se, rather it is a largely collection of axonal projections from the hypothalamus that terminate behind the anterior pituitary gland. Anatomy, so it consists of neuronal projections extending from supraoptic and paraventricular nuclei of the hypothalamus. So these axons release peptide hormones to capillaries of the hypophyseal circulation. In addition to axons, the posterior pituitary also contains pituocytes, specialized glial cells resembling astrocytes. Classification of posterior pituitary varies, but most sources include these three regions: pars nervosa, also called the neural lobe, right? Then infundibulum stalk, also known as infundibulum or the pituitary stalk, bridges the epithalamic and hypophyseal systems. Hormones secreted classically, they are known as the posterior pituitary hormones synthesized by the hypothalamus. They are often stored and secreted by the posterior pituitary into the bloodstream. So namely the oxytocin and vasopressin, also known as the antidiuretic hormone. Other names we do not have for the oxytocin. Vasopressin, also known as arginine, vasopressin, arginine-pressin, antidiuretic hormone. OT, these are not required. Target organs, uterus, mammary gland, oxytocin acts in uterus and affect uterine contraction and lactation. That is the function of oxytocin. Source supraoptic and paraventricular nuclei. And vasopressin acts on kidneys and arterioles, stimulates water retention, raises blood pressure by contracting arterioles, induces male aggression. So supraoptic and source is supraoptic and paraventricular nuclei. Role in diseases: insufficient secretion of vasopressin in underlies diabetes insipidus, a condition in which the body loses capacity of concentrated urine. Affected individuals excrete as much as 20 liters of dilute urine per day. So oversecretion of vasopressin causes syndrome of inappropriate antidiuretic hormone. So these are the anti-pituitary hormones. Thyroid stimulating hormone. What are the functions? Stimulates the thyroid gland to release thyroid hormones T3 and T4, control basal metabolic rate and play important role in growth and maturation. Affect almost every organ in the body. Growth hormone, principal hormone that regulates growth. ACTH, adrenocorticotropic hormone, triggers the adrenal gland, which regulates the stress response with the release of hormones such as cortisol and aldosterone. LH, luteinizing hormone and follicular stimulating hormone, control reproduction. Prolactin stimulates secretion of breast milk. Then we have melanocyte stimulating hormone. This stimulates the production of release of melanin by melanocytes in skin and hair. Oxytocin, it is released in large amounts after distension of the cervix and uterus during labor. After stimulation of the nipples, facilitating birth and breastfeeding. Recent studies have begun to investigate oxytocin's role in various behavior, including orgasm, social recognition, pair bonding, anxiety, and maternal behavior. Vasopressin, also called antidiuretic hormone, promotes water retention. Let us discuss about important relations of the pituitary gland. Anteriorly, the pituitary gland, it is related to optic chiasma. As we can see in this diagram, this is the optic chiasma, this is the pituitary gland, and anteriorly related to optic chiasma, posteriorly mammillary bodies. As you can see here, these are the mammillary bodies, right? This is your pituitary gland. The posterior relation is the mammillary body, anterior relation is optic chiasma. Superiorly, the diaphragma sellae. Diaphragma sellae is a diaphragm which is covering the pituitary gland. Inferiorly, the sphenoidal hair sinus. We can make out here. These two are the sphenoidal hair sinuses. Laterally, we have two cavernous sinuses. So these are the relations of the pituitary gland: anteriorly optic chiasma, posteriorly mammillary bodies, superiorly diaphragma sellae, inferiorly sphenoidal sinuses on either side, or laterally cavernous sinuses. Coming to the arterial supply of the pituitary gland, supplied by superior hypophyseal artery. Superior hypophyseal artery, there are multiple on each side. They arise from the internal carotid arteries. They form two sets of capillary plexuses in the infundibulum to supply the ventral aspect of the hypothalamus. They give portal vessels that reach another plexus in adenohypophysis. It is a portal circulation. They have major role in carrying, releasing and inhibiting hormones from hypothalamus to the anterior pituitary. Superior hypophyseal arteries supply the infundibulum and form capillary network from vessels, that is hypophyseal portal veins, pass downwards and form sinusoids in the anterior lobe of the pituitary. So they form sinusoids in the anterior lobe of the pituitary gland, which is called the hypophyseal portal system. So we can see here the hypophyseal portal veins. Inferior hypophyseal artery supply the posterior lobe of the pituitary gland. So both the hypophyseal arteries are branches from internal carotid, that you have to remember. Veins, hypophyseal and hypophyseal portal veins, drain into the cavernous sinus. Coming to the diseases found in the pituitary gland, most common problem with the pituitary is the development of tumor. While most are benign and they can produce excessive amounts of specific pituitary hormone, they crowd out production of other hormones and compress the surrounding tissues. Blood vessels and optic nerves are close in proximity to the pituitary gland. Pressure from the tumor can cause headaches, visual disturbances, loss of vision, fatigue, weakness, and seizures, as well as the host of signs and symptoms related to diminished hormone production. Other pituitary disorders can arise from inherited genetic mutations, may be congenital, be due to trauma or impaired blood supply due to surgical or radiation treatment of the previous pituitary disorder, due to a malignant tumor, or due to the cause that are not yet well understood. So the hormone deficiencies and excesses from these disorders can produce variety of symptoms depending upon which hormone the target tissues are affected. When the hypothalamus is dysfunctional, pituitary hormone production is often affected. TSH in turn stimulates thyroid hormone production by thyroid gland. The growth hormone deficiency, this affects the growth hormone deficiency vary depending on age at which it occurs. In children, growth failure and short stature are major manifestations of growth hormone deficiency, with common causes including genetic conditions and congenital malformations. It can also cause delayed sexual maturity. In adults, deficiency is rare, with the most common cause of pituitary adenoma and other including continuation of the childhood problem, other structural lesions or trauma, and very rarely idiopathic growth hormone deficiency. Unknown cause, idiopathic is unknown cause of growth hormone deficiency. Treatment with exogenous growth hormone indicated only in limited circumstances and regular monitoring due to frequency and severity of the side effects. Hypopituitarism, from variety of causes including tumors, trauma, decreased pituitary blood supply, infection, sarcoidosis, and autoimmune process. Radiation, surgical removal of the pituitary, side effects of the pituitary surgery, results in general disease in pituitary hormone production. Treatment, the hypopituitarism is threefold: removing the underlying cause, treating the hormone deficiencies, and addressing any other repercussions that arise from the hormone deficiencies. What are the functions of pituitary gland? Pituitary gland is a small bean-shaped, this already we have discussed, weighing less than 1 gram. Pituitary is often called master gland, already you know. Hormones have a dramatic and broad range effects on metabolism, growth, maturation, sexuality, reproduction, and other important bodily functions. And remember, dear students, in physiology they will teach you about the functions of each and every hormone secreted from the pituitary gland. In anatomy, you should remember only the hormones which are secreted from anterior pituitary, posterior pituitary. Okay. So conclusion, as our discussion on pituitary gland deficiency, we came to know about varied effects of its deficiency on human beings. When the key hormones secreted by the gland become very low in frequency, then the level of hypopituitarism is a danger. The death of any person may occur if the thyroid hormone and the adrenal hormone are extremely low. The tumor is also a major risk which is occurring due to the pituitary gland deficiency. So thank you very much.